State Bank, we're there with you every step of the way. Member FDIC.
This is the morning sports desk for Monday, December 18th. Corey, we got a lot to catch up on, but first we got some stuff to preview today, including a game over in Staples.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The Staples-Motley Cardinals boys basketball team hosts the Braham Bombers tonight. So I'll head over to Staples for that boys basketball game. The Cardinals 1-3 overall on the season. They opened up their year with a victory over Wadena Deer Creek, but now have lost 3 straight to Osakis, Uppsala, and West Central area. So they'll take on Braham this evening. The Braham Bombers come into tonight's contest at 3-2 overall. They had 3 straight wins to start the year over McGregor, Mille Lacs, and Rush City, but now have lost 2 straight to East Central and Cromwell Wright. So a couple of losing streaks coming into tonight's game. One of them is going to come to a close. It's a 7:15 pregame with a 7:30 tip time on AM 1430 and 98.5 FM, The Fan.
Yeah, we got a double header of boys and girls action over on the Superstation, K106, 105.9 FM. You can also listen live on WadenaRadio.com or the Superstation K106 app. A boys and girls double header in Section 6A. It is going to be Parker's Prairie at New York Mills. First off, for the girls game, which is a 5:45 pregame and a 6 o'clock tip-off, the boys game will follow on our broadcast. The girls for New York Mills are 1-5, 0-2 in Section 6A, 0-1 in the Park Region Conference, 0-1 on the road, and 1-4 at home. They started off the year 0-3, got a win against Sabika, and then have lost a couple to Wadena Deer Creek and Monaga before they get ready to play Parker's Prairie tonight. For the Panthers, they're also 1-5. They're 0-4 in Section 6A, 0-2 in the Little 8 Conference, 0-5 on the road, 1-0 at home. They got their first win of the year against Bertha Hewitt, and then have had a little skid here that they're hoping to turn around against the Eagles tonight. Should be a good one in there. And then sliding over to the boys, the New York Mills Eagles boys basketball team is 0-5 right now, 0-3 in the Park Region Conference, 0-2 on the road, 0-3 at home. But again, have a chance here for that first win of the season. They've had some matchups against some good teams. You know, you have teams like Monoman Waban slipped in there, Browerville Eagle Valley. There are some tough matchups. We'll see how that works out here tonight in that Section 6A matchup against the Parker's Prairie boys team, who's 3-2 to start the year. They're 1-1 in Section 6A, 1-1 in the Little 8 Conference, 2-0 on the road, 1-2 at home. They're going to put that perfect road record to the test against the Eagles tonight. So far for the Panthers, they have wins against Verndale, Swanville, and Battle Lake. Their losses have been to Sabika and Brandon Evansville. So we have that action again over on the Superstation tonight, Corey. A lot of basketball, but you know, it's Christmas break, so teams are kind of winding down towards the end of the week, and everything kind of gets front loaded a little bit.
Yeah, it's gut punch time. Getting to that portion, we still usually, when it comes to high school basketball, and I would imagine some of the other sports, get to Christmas, figure out who you are, what you got, what the world is going to look like, because coming out of that Christmas break, come the new year, come 2024, we need to be full steam ahead. But we're at that time now where like those finishing touches are starting to be put on the schedule and or on the roster and these games are starting to be fun now, right? You're hoping to see a fewer mistakes physically, obviously fewer mental mistakes. You hope anyway that those are a part of it, and that's always going to be a part of the game. It's never going to be perfect, but you know, it's getting to that time of year where everyone's hoping to turn that corner full steam ahead, and you start ironing those last wrinkles out this week.
Right, exactly. Speaking of wrinkles to iron out, the Vikings, it appears, will never iron out the whole turning the ball over thing. Corey, would you believe me if I said the Vikings lost the game this season because they turned the ball over at some crucial moments?
Is that the 7th time that's happened this year?
Yeah, I think all 7 of their losses can be traced back to them woefully losing the turnover differential.
Yeah, and I mean that's not ideal. There's a lot of things I think about this game. By the way, they lose to Cincinnati 27-24 in overtime.
Yeah, Jake Browning revenge game. Did you see him after the game? He's like, they shouldn't have cut me. And I'm like, brother, you lost a quarterback competition to Sean Mannion.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
I have too many things about the Vikings to be concerned about what Jake Browning ever has to say. They're on their 4th quarterback.
Yeah. The Vikings season came to an end when Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles.
It's not perfect. There was a little magic dust sprinkled on it with the Dobbs thing for about 6 quarters. That was really fun. Not ideal. I do have, though, a question about the Vikings game.
Yes. Because
there was some controversy that threw Vikings fandom into a little bit of a firestorm at the end of the game.
Fire KOC was trending on Twitter after that one.
And whatever. If we want to take it to that point, I guess we certainly can, if that's where you want to go with it. But what did you think about the 2 quarterback sneaks in a row?
Here's the thing. There's the case to be made that you shouldn't have did it. My case is like, I don't know, it's like 4th and inches. Or 3rd and inches and then 4th and inches. Can we not just fall forward on one play? I think that's one where I judge it on process over outcome. And in football, it's hard to have that approach. But I don't hate the calls. Now, there's the controversy of like Flores telling KOC to call a timeout and, whatever. And I was listening on the radio. I was hearing Paul Allen's call, so I didn't see anything on the TV. But, I don't hate it. I get it. Obviously I wish they would have worked, and you can second guess it all you want. It's like running it 3 times in a row at the goal line. You can get frustrated that your coach ran it 3 times in a row at the goal line, or you can say, how can we not get a yard and get into the end zone? So that's kind of where I sit on it. But I know you have some thoughts on it. So
no, I don't. Not thoughts. I have more questions.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So, and some of these are like very earnest questions, and I asked them to work around, I think, to my final point, which is they put this line on the TV screen, right? Like there's the yellow line for first downs. They also put this red line out at end of games, end of halves, and they call it like the field goal line or whatever, right? If you can get here, you can kick a field goal. They were, I believe, 3 yards shy of that field goal line.
Sure.
After the first quarterback sneak. How do they determine what is the field goal line? And how much leeway do they give on those? Like,
I think they judge it by the
line. If they put the line at X yard line, does that mean a field goal from there is going to eke over the goalpost by the length of a football? Or does that mean this is where this person feels comfortable with kicking it from?
So it depends on what broadcast, I think, but generally I think they find the team's kicker, they find their career long, and then they kind of say, hey, he's proven he can make it from this point. So I think that's how they do it.
Okay, so here's my next question then, which is a fair point, and I wasn't sure of that. I actually really wanted to know the answer. You just had a 3rd and inches, and you couldn't complete the first down. You're a mere 3 yards from from that field goal line. Why are you not kicking a field goal there in overtime? You're already just barely over midfield anyway. Like, if you're either not gonna pick up the first down. 2 of the 3, there's 3 options. You pick up the first down, you don't pick up the first down and give them great field position, or you kick a field goal and win. And then the 4th option is, or you kick a field goal and give them great field. Like, why is no one talking about them kicking a field goal in that spot? And why didn't they kick the field goal in that spot?
Well, I think probably is because if they miss that field goal, then everybody goes, "Why didn't you just QB sneak it? It was right there on a 4th and inches." So I think it's one of those things where the outcome was bad, and so it's really easy to and not wrong to second guess some of that stuff. But I think whenever something doesn't go right, it's always easy to just think of the alternative.
And that's fair. I would like to say, and I have no evidence of this, but I was screaming at the TV to kick the field goal.
Yeah.
Before, like after the 3rd down, I was like, gosh, dang it. Well, he should have enough. If it's just 3 yards, they don't gauge that to eke it over. It's overtime. Just try the field goal.
And I wonder if there's a little bit of gamesmanship of like, yeah, but if we get the 1st down, then we can kill a couple more minutes off the clock. And I know it's overtime and the clock doesn't really matter, but also you want to make them panic a little bit for the Bengals, because a field goal, the Vikings a field goal would have won them the game, right? Because they were
it was overtime. It would have won the game.
Well, did the Cincinnati have the ball first? Okay, yeah. So it would have won them the game. Then I guess it pretty much just was, if you miss it, you're gonna. It's a lose-lose situation, because
if you miss it, you're going to give them good field position, unlike not getting it on 4th and inches.
Yeah, but I think it's just more the probability of it. Is it easier to fall forward and get a few inches, or is it easier to have Greg Joseph kick a career-long field goal? It'd be the math in the situation.
I agree with that question, with the one exception to this of they just tried it and couldn't get it.
Right.
Like if they would have decided, you know what, let's just win it right now, we're close enough, that would have been a crazy decision. But they just tried, and they had 4 inches to go, and then they had 9 inches
right
after that play. You just proved you couldn't do it. So the logic makes sense that can't we just fall ahead by the length of a football and get it? Yeah, of course, except for the part where you just tried and didn't. Just kick a field goal. I don't know. That was the thing that I understand. There's more to it than this. I was really surprised everyone's mad about the second sneak try, and like you could have run anything. I just don't understand why they didn't kick it.
Right. And if people remember, the Vikings had a 4th and inches call earlier in the game, and they lined up like they wanted to do a QB sneak. They did a hard play action bootleg rollout to Ty Chandler that got him like 7 yards. And so people are like, why couldn't you do something creative, like that? It's like they already did it. So the Bengals already know the Vikings have it in their back pocket. I think you could criticize the design where Brandon Powell, smaller wide receivers, trying to push Nick Mullins forward. Like, why do you not have TJ Hawkinson, put 2 hands on his buttocks and shove?
Mm-hmm.
But, whatever. I think at the end of the day, and we can talk about that 4th down all we want, the Vikings turned the ball over twice in the red zone early in the game, and they win the game. And but when you lose like that, everything just kind of falls apart.
Well, and there's some other parts to this too, and I think that's 100% a fair criticism of if you don't turn the ball over twice in the red zone, you're not even in this situation in the first place.
Right.
That is a very fair point. The counter to that is, though, you did turn the ball over in the red zone twice, which means you were. Just because that happened doesn't negate the existence of the current situation you're in.
No, it just compounds it.
It just compounds. It's just another thing.
It means you have to play perfect. It means you can't afford to screw up on a play call. It means you can't afford to screw up on some of that stuff, because it's like we talked about with wins and losses. When the Vikings started 0-3, they removed almost any margin for error they had, because if they just win a couple games earlier in the season, they can limp into the playoffs. But now it's going to be a dogfight, because they have the Lions on Sunday, Green Bay the next week, and the Lions again the week after. All 3 of those games are going to have playoff positioning and playoff hopes on the line. So,
and it's a good way to defer blame or deflect blame, and it happens all the time. And by the way, sometimes it's important to be able to do that.
Right.
You need to be able to say at the end of a really tough game that you lost. You don't want to just pin it on one person or one thing. This is a team game. We had plenty of opportunities elsewhere.
Right.
All of that's fair and legit. But the part that happens is it's totally dismissive than of the exact scenario you were in.
Right.
Don't turn the ball over in the red zone. Don't take away at least 6 points from your team because of it. All fair and good. You know what also? You just try to QB sneak. What are we doing here? Like you have to find something that
well, and the
execute a little better.
And the other nitpick is the Vikings have not figured out how to play with the leads over the last month. It's been really, really bad when they've had
very stagnant in the second half.
The KOC's again. There's a fair criticism of KOC.
Yeah, totally.
In like calling plays with the lead and figuring out how to attack without getting too soft on the gas pedal. And it's a fine line, and we'll just.
But also, he's on his fourth quarterback,
right?
It's like there's no fair way to have a conversation about any of this, and you can't talk about one thing without talking about 2 or 3 or 4 other things that are absolute. You kind of have to maybe take your foot off the brake when Nick Mullins is
could throw a pick six at any moment. Right,
you're just kind of in a really tough spot. Anyway, everyone else keeps losing though, so just go 3-0 the rest of the way and you're in.
Or go 0-3 and they still might get in. I don't know. This has been the Morning Sports Desk for Monday, December 18th. 7:31 on KWAD. We're back with more after this.
The holidays are just around the corner, and the stress of family gatherings will